start the stream.
Okay, the
Oh,
stream.
and just to let you know
stream
that
has started.
I'll just at the last, when there's a timer up there, and as the time is going down, when we get down to about, we've done about 56 minutes, then that's when I'll try to rein things back in and just thanking everybody and, closing it off. And, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. Facebook has accepted the stream.
Oh, and just a reminder about putting it on the Western New York Peace Center page.
All right, should I do it now or after
Sure.
the show starts?
Whenever you want to.
Okay. Okay, you see the timer in the beginning of the screen?
Yep.
Okay, when it says on the air, you're on the air.
Right. Thanks. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here at Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our producer, Richard Wicca. Thanks, Richard. And we thank our friends at Buffalo State University, and their station WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station at 91.3 FM. Thank you, Buff State and WBNY. And when I think of thankfulness, I do think of our indigenous friends and our people of color who, despite all kinds of oppression and hardship, still have such a spirit of thankfulness that the Haudenosaunee, on whose stolen or land that's been gotten through violence or trickery, still do start at all of their events and all of their gatherings with thankfulness, with a Ganonyo, which really starts off with thanking the people who were there, as we do now, thanking Mother Earth for providing all the things that we need for a good life, for the plants and the animals, the wonderful different phenomena of our creation, and for the Creator and for the love that animates it all. And so then they, certainly it's the Haudenosaunee would say Nyahweh, and then the people say Nyo. Or even, I know for our black friends say Ashe, which is just, let it be so. So let us say Ashe and Nyahweh, and you could say Nyo.
Yeah.
No, I'll give you an amen.
Think that amen, amen, amen is where I'll go with that. And Ashe, of course, and it all comes around. So anyway, I'm very excited about our show today. It's very timely, and as many people will be hearing this on Labor Day, we're pre-recording it today, Wednesday, but this will also be airing on Labor Day and then the week after. But I want to say every day is a laboring day. There's all kinds of work to be done all the time, and labor is a fact of our life and a joy and a trial and just so many things. So there's a lot to talk about, and the biggest thing we wanted to talk about to do with labor, there's so many aspects that we'll explore, is that labor is people power for times such as these. So we'll get into that as we go around. I'm very excited to we have Ann Converso, who is a labor organizer. She is an RN organizer and mobilizer with SEIU, I'm sorry, not SEIU, CWA 1168.
Yep.
I knew that, 1168.
I know you did.
And although we're all united, right? And of course, and Samantha White, Sam, I've known Sam for many years, very happy to be with you again. And she's a lawyer and an activist and a person of conscience. So we have anyone with a conscience is a busy person right now, because there's a big need. So thank you both for coming.
It's
You're
a
welcome.
pleasure.
Yeah, it's great to have you both here. It's great to have you meet each other. I was just saying, I think you've probably been in a lot of the same spaces, but when there may have been many, many people there, maybe the last time when we had 10,000 people in the street, or so many different gatherings that, and boy, do we need them. So, so just to start out, if we could start out with values, the values, when we think of that topic, the topic of labor in general, and especially labor in this time and space, with the situation that we're in, some of which, well, much of which we'll at least, try to go into. There's a lot to it. But the values that you think of. So, Ann, what would you say you think of for values?
I guess I feel like we need to value every person doing whatever job they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very distinctly I worked at the VA. My career was at the VA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 21, and I was told that I was going to work with 41 patients, and I had 2 nursing assistants. And I was like, boy, we didn't have that in nursing school. I had 2 or 3 patients, and the nursing
Wow.
assistants to me were way better educated than me. They had worked a long time on that floor.
Really?
They knew what they were doing. And I just remember sometimes they would be like, yeah, and I don't think that's the way that should be done. And I'm like, really? Like, I wouldn't know. Like, you don't have all the experiences coming out of nursing school.
Right.
And I think people try to categorize people like, oh, the RNs are more important. Okay. We're no more important than the person bringing the tray that's going to feed that patient that I'm caring for. Or the person, I think in my field at least, that's obviously I'm most familiar with is healthcare.
Right.
But people sort of like downgrade a little bit, like environmental service people, right? Like, oh, they're cleaning the floor, they clean the bed. Well, your first line of defense is a clean room.
Right.
And
Right.
people just don't really think of that. So for me, everybody I worked with was absolutely the same. We just had different job descriptions or things that we were trained to do, but we were a team that helped that patient survive, get better, and get back into society. So I have a very strong feeling about people being treated fairly at work, no matter your job title.
Absolutely. Oh, and I just can't resist mentioning, you may not know that I was a nurse's aide for a while.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know
Yes,
that.
I was. And I've done some family nursing as well. But, yeah. So anyway, yes, that's so true what you said, and that's so important, that equality, that being a part of a team, that everybody's work is equally important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And Sam, what do you think of?
So I'm just going to tack on to what Ann was saying. Every worker has inherent dignity and should be treated with respect, and there should be democracy in the workplace. And pardon me, but there should be the freedom to, work and, if necessary, unionize so that, we can ensure that the public has the best quality of service, whatever the industry, that standards go up, that people who are doing the daily labor are getting a living wage.
Right.
It's such a shame that you see large companies, mega companies, I'm not going to name any names because I'm not getting sued today.
And there are many names.
There's too many names.
There's
to
too many
name.
names. Yes.
But there are some mega corporations who have, workers who are working 30, 35, 40 or more hours that are going to the Department of Social Services for Medicaid and Medicare that's getting cut.
Right. Right.
That need food stamps to supplement their families, food access.
Right.
And that's that's a lack of dignity.
Yeah.
And we need to ensure that, and unions help to do that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for those. For those, it's so important the values of well, a living wage, of taking care of people, of really justice, which
Yeah.
makes me think of so you know. Cornell West has famously been quoted, "Justice is what love looks like in public," and so I want to say that, I usually use the truth and love because I think they're always applicable. So the truth of what goes on, as you say, with so much of the unfairness in the way people are treated with the different, there are people who make mega money for what? And sometimes there's a good reason, but sometimes there's no good reason. And certainly there's no good reason that people should not be getting a living wage who are working hard, difficult jobs, dangerous jobs, or just, very taxing jobs. And they deserve a living wage. And instead, it's all about this profits, the stockholders, and everything else. And that's the truth of the matter. The other truth of the matter, some people, there's so much of unpaid labor. People are just not paid for their labor. They're working all the time. But what, so the unions have given that collectivity, which is back to caring for people and taking care of people. That if we love each other, I love this one chant that we do sometimes, where we love each other. That's a human nature, to just care for the people, for the community, the beloved community that
And
we build.
I feel that's not always true right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel people are feeling like loving towards each other. There's like a lot of anger and stuff out there.
Right.
And I feel I wish we could. I think under certain circumstances, people step up. But I think on a regular basis, I think there's just a lot of stress out there and people don't feel that. But to your point before that, I was just talking to a healthcare worker today, and she's going back to nursing school. And I said, why is that? She said, because she's working 70 hours in her job, 70 hours a week in her job just to make ends meet. And she said, if I become a nurse, I won't have to work 70 hours. How do you work 70 hours every week? That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's
That's ridiculous.
It's dangerous.
Yes.
It's dangerous. And besides being totally unfair and just actually, I didn't introduce myself. Oftentimes I forget to. So, but I've reclaimed my teenage nickname of Victory, because I want to say that it's my excuse to bring up that the real victory, everybody wins, right? It was my teenage nickname. But I started using it when I was doing peaceful conflict resolution with kids, to just point that out. And we still don't get that. So if people are getting underpaid and taken advantage of, there's all kinds of ways that we all pay the price for that. Because first of all, poverty, besides the unfairness of it, it is a crime generator. It is a danger. It is, just so unhelpful. And we look at the income and asset distribution of this country that just continues to get worse and worse, and that no one is benefiting. And the people who think they are benefiting, well, first of all, their children will pay the price, and they will pay the price eventually in this world or the next. But anyway, so let us talk a little bit about the sort of the history of the labor movement, because I want to say there's such a glorious history of it, and a lot of it was in Buffalo. I did live in Massachusetts I want to say there was quite a bit in Massachusetts too, with the garment industry and everything. But there's a long history of people showing real courage and that truth and love about caring for each other and fighting for people to get a living wage and fair and safe working conditions. So, Ann, if you want to say a little bit about that.
I feel like we have to it's our responsibility to do a little more education on that.
Mm-hmm.
At least from my experience talking to a lot of union members, their view is that I'm not sure where it comes from, but their view is like, okay, here's the contract. And you're like, but you don't know how hard people fought for that, okay? Like, you're working 40 hours a week because someone fought for that.
Right.
They fought for weekends. They fought, we passed a law in New York State where RNs can't be mandated past their shift. And it's not because you just want to go home. It is unsafe. Like,
Right.
there's really literature that talks about, like, at 9.5 hours, you sort of start going down the other way from your peak of, you know,
Right.
picking up on things and, you know, your level of seeing things that really matter. And they're working 12.5 hours, and now you want them to work longer than 12.5 hours. So for the person that's doing it, I would say that's not healthy. And for your patient, it's really unhealthy.
Right.
And I apologize, but my whole experience is really in healthcare. So I assume in a factory it's the same way. If you're putting
Well, of course.
doors on cars or whatever, you're
Right.
still not at your peak after that time. So people are unaware of all the things that not only people but unions have fought for to give you in whatever facility or whatever place you work, whatever industry, the ability to go home after your shift, to make a decent wage. We worked for that. And I sort of,
Right.
in historical perspective, I think, oh, okay. And then I think about the law we passed for RNs now, that we worked for that.
Right.
We were on buses going to Albany saying, we
Right.
can't do this. This is not right. Not
Time
only for
after
us, but
time.
for our patient. So you're still like fighting these battles, and
Yes.
somebody's going to look back and go, "Oh, they were on a bus 25 years ago to get us that benefit," you know, going to Albany.
Right, right. Thank you. Yeah, it's so much of that. And really, history, and, you know, people were killed, you know, in the early days of labor movements, you know, many, many times. So, and as you say, it's taken just real persistence. Sam?
Yeah, so in preparing for tonight, I did some of that research. And I
Thank
mean,
you.
think about it. In the 1800s, the late 1800s and early 1900s, as industrialization was really taking over, you had workers in factories that included children.
Right.
People were often, you know, being put into situations of long hours, no off days, conditions where people were losing limbs. I mean, you know, if you look at the book The Jungle, they're talking about the meatpacking industry and how people's body parts were mixed into the meats in the early 1900s. And that led to some of the first regulation that we saw. But it really took the workers to come together with the value of solidarity
Right.
and with an immense amount of bravery to fight those unsafe conditions and to basically strike, to face actual violence, men with guns, men with bats.
Right.
People really were killed. Lots of people were killed
Right.
on while they were striking, and it's just what it took to earn the dignity of a reasonable workday, and
And
some,
the safe conditions, right?
yeah.
Right.
Safer, maybe.
Right. Safer.
But
Right.
Buffalo played a big role, especially in this new revival. The
Yes.
whole movement for major corporations like Starbucks to unionize began right here.
Right, and we've had those people on our show.
I bet you.
thought of looking.
Yeah.
Actually, I was a little careful with this show being like, because we do a Labor Day show.
Yeah.
But you know that also it's just when you're at the busiest, it's like, oh, could you do a radio show, please? You know,
Right.
whether it's Juneteenth or whether
Yeah.
it's this or something like that. So I didn't ask Denise Abbott, who's been on our show, or many of the Starbucks organizers, Workers United,
Yep.
as they call it. So yes, they've been on our show. Look it up on our our YouTube channel. We've got a bunch of them on our
Maybe
YouTube
Rich
channel.
can figure out how to link it.
Well, they are. Yeah, we can ask him to do that, and they are on the YouTube, on the Western New York YouTube. So, but anyway, as you point out, very true, and Buffalo. That's it. Although there's been in the new resurgence, because the thing is, those powers that be, it's that age-old struggle, and now more than any time in the fairly recent past, the robber baron ages, we're coming back into the Gilded Age, and with the insanity that's going on the federal level, and it's been building for some time, that it just continues to get worse. So I keep saying it in that way, but that the injustice, the economic injustice in this country is more extreme than it is for other so-called developed countries, right? By far. And then it has continued to get worse. And now we're on a whole nother level. And so the union busting that goes on, the firing, the arbitrary firing of people who have contracts that should ensure that they do not get fired in that kind of way. Just horrendous what's going on.
But look at the example, because it's near and dear to my heart, but you look at the example at the VAs, where they took away the contracts from all the unionized workers in the VA. And I think that we talk a lot about wages, right? Because we all have an electric bill, right? A car payment.
Right.
We did not negotiate wages and benefits in the VA. You started where you started, and we would get a COLA every year. So when Congress said your COLA is 2.1, that was your raise, okay?
Right.
So we didn't negotiate that. But we negotiated working conditions, okay?
Right.
Who out of the three of us gets to pick vacation first? Well, you do, because you wear glasses. I mean, totally arbitrary, right? But we had rules that pertain to all of those working conditions. Seniority meant something. I came first, I get to pick a couple weeks, then you. And all of those are now gone. And they had the audacity to send out a letter to all the employees that talked about how lucky the employees are now that they no longer have to go to a union to resolve.
What?
Oh yeah, I have it right there. Good morning. You are really lucky that you don't have to go to a union anymore. You can go right to your manager and talk about any situation that is bothersome to you or what. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it bothers me. I can't get the 4th of July off. Oh, I can get it off because you like me, but you don't like Victoria? That is the letter that came out to the employees at the VA, that you no longer have a contract and you're so lucky for that.
Oh, my God.
Please. We had such good work rules about vacation, how to get, if you were hired in the geriatric floor and wanted to be an ICU nurse, what was your path to do that?
Right.
What health and safety? We had health and safety committees where we raised issues about beds that didn't lower enough or were broken or whatever. It was one of the saddest letters I think I ever read. It was terrible. So all those people now are at the mercy of who's ever running their department, their floor. Very sad.
Very sad, very bad. So the backsliding that we're seeing now.
Yeah, and one of the changes at the federal level is, I think it was back around April or May, the National Labor Relation Board came under fire and had some of its leadership, I don't want to use the word deposed, let's say relieved. And, they're being replaced with employer-friendly appointees, leaving workers in a tough position. And that's what makes people power such an important thing. in this time, right here, right now. Because regardless of what the decision makers do or say, what was that we used to say when we were out there? Whose streets? Our streets.
Sure.
Yep.
Right, that's people power.
Yep.
Right, right. Well, that is people power. And I want to say labor is people power for times such as these. That's what we're saying. Because I want to say we had 10,000. I want to say that April 5th, we had 10,000 people in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
10,000 people in the streets.
Bless you.
And if there was the major factor that I want to say, well, the major factor is the need, but the one that made it happen the most was labor.
Yeah.
So there are activists on lots of different subjects in varying amounts, depending on how much it affects people or how much people think it affects them. I'm going to say maybe sort of anti-militarism, which has gotten stronger lately because the need is so clear. But is something that people think doesn't affect them, or they may even get have drunk the Kool-Aid to think that it doesn't matter or that it's helping us, which it really isn't. But there are other things that affect people. But labor, I mean, everyone, back to that, everyone works, and people, we have to take that collective. It's the collective that has the strength to really
Move the needle.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you want to talk about how labor's gathering, I believe it's at Niagara Square?
So
Well, that's
for
one
Labor
of the
Day,
things.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
there's a number
There's a
of
couple of
things. Yeah.
things, but
Tell us.
I just wanted to say one thing before I forget it,
Sure. Yeah.
because we're
please.
at that age.
Yeah.
There is an attorney whose name I won't mention, but she is on TV quite frequently and says, "Did this ever happen to you in the workplace?
Oh, yes.
Call me." I say, no offense to her, don't call her. Pick up the phone and find a union. Okay?
Right.
Like the union, get a union in your workplace and you will not have to, sorry to any attorney, you will not have to spend money with her, right? Like, we fight those things in the workplace,
Right,
discrimination, anything
right.
that she's mentioned. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I had a case like that 22 years ago, and we
Right.
took care of it as a union. And I
Right.
take no offense to her because many people are not represented. But if I was in that situation, I'd be like, well, wait a minute. Would it be the steel workers? Would it be the auto workers? Or
Right.
am I in healthcare? Would it be
Right.
CWA?
Right, right.
Like sort of, and you can interview unions, right? Like, would you match with our workforce, right? Like, we represent healthcare workers. I would not think about like representing at this point somebody in hotels, right? Like, there are unions that do that.
There are
So you
unions that
find a
do that,
union
of
that sort of
course.
fits that. But on Labor Day, I think that we have not only the right, but the responsibility to be out in the streets.
Right.
So there are numerous activities. Pick your activity. There is a rally in Niagara Square at 9 in the morning. The unions on that day, we really spend our day together in South Buffalo.
Right.
And so you can go downtown at 9. Some of us can't because we're helping set up and
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
We started about 8 o'clock in the morning, but our parade takes off from McKinley and Dorrance.
Right.
And we go down McKinley and we end up in Kaz Park and really celebrate our union roots. And we celebrate people who do every type of job.
And so where do you recommend people go if they want to?
If I were not working
If
the
you were
Labor
not
Day,
working,
if
yeah,
I
what
were
would you
not working
recommend
the
people?
parade,
Yes.
I would say to people, head down to Niagara Square at 9 a.m. because that's when that
Right.
gathering starts.
Right.
And then I would say, hop in your car and
Right.
come join us at 11 o'clock
But-
for the Labor Day
But
parade.
where? No, I'm seriously asking where to land where to park to park at the beginning of the route, or in Kaz Park, or what?
Oh,
or is it a
for the
circle
Labor
rate?
Day parade.
For the Labor Day parade.
Park at Kaz Park.
I'm asking for a
If you
friend.
can find a
No.
spot.
Well, that's
Well,
why I'm asking.
They
Yes.
allow us that day to park up on the lawn. Everybody
nice.
finds a spot, and we have, I believe,
Shuttles?
3 buses,
You do.
3 school buses.
Oh, good.
That will take you to the beginning of the parade. So when you're done walking, there's hot dogs and food, and there's your car.
Right.
So you park at Kaz Park. Buses are going to
And
start
get there
running
by-
at 9:30.
Okay.
Buses
so,
will start
and
at
that's why you
9:30.
say 10 o'clock as a start time for that. So that
11
people-
o'clock is the start time for the parade.
Right, but on one of the things I looked at, it says 10 to 2. So I'm figuring get there and park at 10 or 10:30 and take the shuttle.
Take the bus.
Yeah, something
Hop on
like
the
that.
bus.
Right.
Because the first year we made a mistake. We all parked down at McKinley and Dorrance,
And
and
then
then you
everybody has
walk,
to go
and we had
back.
to walk all the way
Right,
back.
that's why I'm asking.
Kaz
That's why I'm
Park,
asking.
Kaz
Right,
Park.
okay.
Buses start running at 9:30.
Okay,
Come
very
and join
good.
us. It's
Yes.
And the weather looks beautiful.
Oh,
Beautiful.
is it going to be like today?
75 and sunny.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Ideal.
Yep.
Ideal. Well, I want to say, I mean, so when we're on the topic, I hope I'm not jumping too quick into it, but when there's this movie, A Force More Powerful, and it's a long movie about nonviolent struggle and how it's really changed, gotten oppressors off, dumped them. That one of the only things that has really managed to end dictatorships, or occupation, etc. So in the movie is in 2 parts because it's so long. It starts with India and Gandhi, the Salt March and all of that. Then the civil rights movement. Not that everything has been fixed or anything, but certainly the people power there, and anti-apartheid South Africa, which is very related to a lot of the movements that we need right now. But the second half of that's the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie, it was astounding to me. It is so labor focused. It's all about general strikes, and it's all about how the general strikes moved the needle. They were the thing that got it done. In Denmark with the Nazis, with work slowdowns and all of that, and in Poland with Solidarność, their labor union, and lastly Chile and Pinochet, getting him out, and that was always in occupying the factory or work general strike, and there's been talk of a general strike even now. So anyway, I just want to get that out there. So if you Google it, Amazon will try to get you to pay for it. Don't do that. Then it is freely available on this on a nonviolence setting. Just DuckDuckGo, A Force More Powerful. So if we would just go round on that, if you want to, the amount of how that collective gets the job done. Let's talk about that. And that can be, it doesn't have to be for the larger, it could be, more, macro or more micro, how the collective gets the job done. I think that's part of what we're talking about with the history, because the history either of those movements or just that we were talking about in this country, and the history of what's going on right now as people are writing history by the courageous young workers who are trying to stop this gig economy.
Sort of a couple thoughts, right? Like collectively, we do that in a workplace with a union, right?
Right.
And and maybe it's just my experience, but I don't feel that's always as adversary as people describe.
Right.
I would say we had a pretty decent relationship at the VA with managers, and it did not mean we agreed. or we succumbed to whatever they wanted.
Sure.
It meant that we both sort of respected each other's views and thought, okay, what is our real goal here?
Right.
The goal that we decided on was good patient care and keeping good employees,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
I had a head nurse who always said, Ann, do you know what I want? I go, what's that? She goes, a stable staff. And she did not mean mentally all the time.
Well,
Okay? Like,
that would help too. I
It
want to
would
say,
help, too.
as a social worker,
but,
I think
right. But it was sort of a joke, right? She
Yes,
wanted
right,
people
right.
to stay so you could
Right.
nurture them and train them.
Right.
On a macro level, I think that I like the group in Buffalo that's called Do Something.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a firm believer that everyone should be doing something right now, okay? We all have different skills or talents or commitments, right?
Right,
I
right.
don't, you know, a mother with 3 kids can't do what I'm doing. I'm
No,
out there
right, of
freely
course.
doing what I'm doing, right?
Right.
But everybody should be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sort of builds it. Like my sister, if she'll see this, she'll be mad at me, but she's like, Ann, like, I should go to that protest that you're going to. I said, yes, you should. She goes, I'm going to do that. I go, okay. She's 2 years older than me. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Park here, come down there.
Right.
And my husband doesn't want me to go. And I'm like, you're going. And he goes, well, I should drop you off so that I'll be nearby. And I'm like, okay, you're still
Sure.
going, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, then he's like, nope, not going to let you alone. Like, I'm going to go too.
Oh,
he's
good.
like, I'm going to every protest now. We should be doing that. And I'm like,
Yay.
really? Yay. So is it going to a protest? Is it writing a letter? Is it calling your congressman? I call mine every day. They never answer anymore. Like
Right,
they're
no,
like,
they never
they're
do.
like, oh, it's Ann
They've
again.
given
This
up.
is ridiculous.
Right,
okay.
right.
But you should be doing something. Whatever is in your capacity to do right now,
Right.
you should not be sitting at home and not doing something. And whether that means like, oh yeah, now I can go to a protest because I've called so many times, or my husband will go with me, whatever that is, we cannot be sitting home right now. This
Right.
is horrifying to me.
Oh.
Like literally horrifying.
Right.
And now we have a person from the reserve board gone, supposedly, who had 13 years still left in her term on the reserve board. Oh, you don't work here anymore. Yeah, she's saying, yes, I do. I have 13 more years in my term. Good for you. I am like rooting for that person, okay?
Right.
This is horrifying to me, and everybody should be doing whatever is in their capacity to do now to rise up and take that one little step more than what you'd normally do,
Right.
and do something just a little bit more when you can. Because
Right.
this is the time. This is terrifying to me.
This is the time. Absolutely. Sam?
So when we're talking about the power of strikes and mass action, I think Ann makes a great point.
Right.
This is not a spectator sport.
Right.
You have to have some skin in the game here. If you try and sit on the fence, you'll find out it's electrified, and
Right.
you'll be toast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, very uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Strikes are one of the most powerful things that we have, even if you're not in a union. Stepping back and supporting labor
Right.
as they are striking, or boycotting
Right.
in solidarity
Right.
with the unions, that can also have a major impact on how business people look at how they're handling a situation with their employees.
Right.
You know, there's so much to be said for solidarity. I mean,
Absolutely.
and whether you're in a union or not, like I said, not a spectator sport. There's ways to get involved, and showing up to these Labor Day events and being part of the head count and being part of the protests and making those calls.
Right.
And you laid them all out, and you laid them all out.
Pick
Right.
one and do it.
But
Right.
even if it's something financial, every now and then there's a bail fund that comes up. you know?
Right.
Every now and then, there's the need for financial support. You know, figure out what it is you can do, even if it's making signs with your kids. You know, there's something that you can do.
Absolutely. And actually, I want to say that, the Western New York Peace Center has just started a series where we've been doing intensive trainings for people to be peacekeepers or marshals for these protests or wherever needed, really. And it's de-escalation training, so it's very handy also in our personal lives or just, whenever it's needed. De-escalation is a real skill that we need, first of all, for ourselves to start with. And then, you just never know when you're going to want that skill. And it's an art, I'd say, and certainly it's something that it's to the power to change the energy and just bring things to a different, sort of, I almost liken it, I like to liken it to Aikido, because it's not an attack thing. It's only a defensive thing, but it's a way of changing up the energy. But anyway, that we've started this series of training, and so there are people who've lost their jobs because of the current administration and all the
Retaliation.
the retaliation that's gone on, the arbitrary, the chainsaw that's been taken to the workforce.
Yeah.
And so we're doing trainings that they're going to do. One is Stop the Bleed that we already have scheduled, and some medical training that people can get. So Power to the People, which is now the Power to the People, is a task force of the Western New York Peace Center. And so the Power to the People task force is organizing these series of trainings. But so that's an example of something. That's something that the Western New York Peace Center can do. So we just find different things, that we can do. And as individuals or as groups, the ways that we show solidarity to each other, have solidarity with each other, be the collective, build the collective, mutual aid. So I was just talking, well, that's something that the Peace Center is going to get more involved in. We, I sometimes say small but mighty, but we don't have a lot of person power to do mutual aid, but the mutual aid is so needed, and especially as people are losing benefits and so many, and with climate catastrophe, even where we get less climate catastrophe than lots of other places, it still showed up already, right? Our blizzard, that was not a normal thing.
Right.
The hurricanes that we've had, or the tornadoes that we've had, so there's more mutual aid going to be needed. So some of these are just some of the many ways that we can help support each other. And to be politically active, I want to say, I think of Gandhi and how he said, it's a sin to be silent when one should protest. We have the noose tightening around our neck with the federal government, with the lawlessness, with the absolute complete disregard for the laws, for the limitations on the executive. I knew, I was afraid it was going to be like this. As a daughter of a German Jew, I saw it coming, so.
I thought what came to my mind, and I know Sam was ready to speak, but that's okay.
Yeah.
When you said mutual aid, the thing that I have seen lately that I've not done, I got to get myself there, but I've seen where there's announcements of like ICE agents going places, people have showed up, and I just give those people that are there videoing and doing what they can to help that person or persons. They were like at Walmart, they said yesterday on Walden.
Really?
Yeah, there was a thing that came out. It said they're at Walmart. What are you doing at Walmart? What are you doing at Walmart, for God's sake?
Picking on people.
Yes,
that's what they're doing.
absolutely.
Arbitrarily just
Absolutely.
kidnapping. The lawlessness, it's so...
But that I thought of when you said mutual aid. Like I thought, okay, if you're standing there and that's going on, get your phone out. Like that to me is helpful. And they were saying that they asked the person their name that was being I mean, to me, they're being abducted. That's what they're being. So
They are
that they
being.
could try to get in touch with the family and say they just took that person. So for me, that's what brought to mind when you said mutual aid.
I need to say that we are also involved in that, and I want to say I don't want to be too very specific, because I could be very specific about somebody who was detained in, the effort to protect or to
Document.
and to point out the lawlessness of what's going on. There are laws that people are, and I'll let me remember the name of this. Well, there is a law being proposed. I hope you'll know about this, Sam, that it will require that ICE agents, as well as police and sheriff's employees, deputies, are all required to wear identifying things
Yeah.
and not to wear masks.
Yeah.
So this masking, that first of all, you can't even know whether the person is just a masked intruder or a federal
Yeah.
agent or what. And they have it like,
So that's
What's that
actually
law? What
that's
is that
actually a local Buffalo law that I helped to co-author, and we amended the charter. It's called the Right to Know law, and within the city limits, law enforcement is not supposed to be masked, not supposed to hide their identity.
well, how do we get the ICE people to respect that?
We're gonna have
I
to
know.
figure that out
I
together.
know. Right. That's back to like, how do we do
Right.
all the?
I think it comes down to the people power. I
Right,
think it really does
right.
come down to the people power.
There is, because there is a law. I think it's in New York State. This is a New York State initiative. So, I apologize. I'll have to investigate that. And I just can't remember the name of it. But that's something that I'll do some posting on that. We can put it in our weekly the
So New
Talking
York
Peace
City-
News.
Yeah, New York City also has a right to know law, and we modeled the Buffalo version after that.
That is so great to
Yeah.
know. So thank you for that. So
Yeah.
we can really, that's all the more, but here's the thing.
That's why they're going to the suburbs, though.
Yeah.
Right? That's why
Right.
they're going to the suburbs,
Cheektowaga.
because it's in the, Cheektowaga.
Yep.
Don't go to Buffalo. Let's go to
Amherst.
Cheektowaga.
Oh, right. In Amherst.
Yeah.
Amherst is where they've been too, also on Niagara Falls Boulevard.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too specific, but I want to
Right.
say I know very firsthand. And so, or not firsthand, very secondhand. Very secondhand. I haven't done that yet, although I have been helping. Justice for Migrant Families has done a lot of the rapid response efforts, and I've been helping with the Batavia phone line, which is much, that's very low key. You're just answering a telephone. But there's just so much that we need to do. And back to people power. I mean, that is what we do have. Well, first of all, when it says a force more powerful, I have to say we do have a force more powerful. We have a few of them. And truth and love. At the time is always right to do right. So those are both Reverend Dr. King quotes. So the one of them, my very favorite, I got this from John Washington. I saw it on his email first, and I've used it for years. He said, unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That's why good temporarily defeated is stronger than evil triumphant. So that gives me courage. And then the other one is what I just said, that the time is always right to do right. And so we know what's right. And the people who are doing, that's why they're wearing those masks. Not because they're ashamed, because they know they're doing the wrong thing, because they don't want their neighbors to know what they're doing, because they know they're just the Nazi, brown shirts going after it. So that is what we've got, that going on at the same time as we have the courageous young people who are fighting the union busting, and the courageous people who are doing rapid release and mutual aid of all kinds, right? So there's helping to feed your neighbor, but there's also, trying to stop them from kidnapping your neighbor,
So I appreciate the passion that's in this room, but I'm going to take a step back because those were some real strong words. What I will say is that there are decades of governmental norms that we've seen and how our government operates in the transfer of power from one party to another. It may not always be pretty or fun or nice or loving, but somehow it's worked for almost 250 years.
So far.
We're pretty close to 250, okay? What is occurring is not the norm. It's not what it has been. And to sit silent allows for the potential to lose what we've acquired over the last 250 years. So I don't necessarily want to use such strong words myself. I understand where you're coming from, but I do recognize that this is not the norm of the government that I grew up with. And I think that it does take the acknowledgement of every citizen willing to speak in this moment right now.
Well, and one of the wonderful things is we see that a lot of people are speaking out, and some of them are losing their shows, but a lot of them haven't lost their shows yet. But, or people who are very prominent and people who are not very prominent. So it makes me think of, actually, I went to Montgomery and I saw the one of the legacy sites that Brian Stevenson and his group have started, the Equal Justice Initiative, I think they call it. So anyway, in the museum there, it was fantastic. And for anyone who hasn't gone, it's really, really worth the trip. But one of the things was the best, there was so much that was so great in that museum. But the best thing of all was the last room where they had sort of on autopilot or something, there were all these different entries, and so where you could select a name, and so some of them are very well-known people, and some of them are people who are not known at all, but they were people who have fought for human rights, for civil rights, especially fighting against racism, but I think just in general. So these people, there were thousands of them, thousands and thousands, and you can read about the most famous person, and they had the same amount written pretty much for no matter the least known person who just in their own small way, in their own little corner of the neighborhood, worked on those issues, and fought for their people, for our people, for people, for human rights and civil rights and caring for each other.
And we can't let that effort go to waste.
No,
Right.
no, and that's what I'm saying is that's sort of what's happening now. That there are people on all different levels. So anyway, so now we're really coming towards the end of the show. We have some time. We have a little time, but so what are as far as people getting more involved? We've been talking throughout really about ways that people can get more involved, but. So if we want to focus in a little bit more about other ways that people might either learn more or get more involved, and I'm going to say about labor, about the challenges today, and about how we're going to get where we need to go. Let's just talk about that a little bit more.
I guess I would say to get more involved, there's multiple ways to do that. And I would just say to people they should investigate that, right? The one thing to me that is important right now, first of all, call a union. If you don't have a union, pick
Right.
one, go, Google who's representing truck drivers or something, right? Who's representing nurses? Find a union that fits. That to me is collective action in your workplace to better your workplace, safer conditions. Like you said, people were losing limbs
Right.
years and years
Right.
ago, okay? But I would also say, at the bare minimum, which is very disturbing to me, is how many people did not vote in the last presidential election.
Right, right.
Did
You're so
not
right.
vote, okay? Like, are you registered? Like, register to vote. Find out, like, who's running for your school board. Don't you care what's happening, like, in your kids' schools? You know, who's running for your town? There's a lot of stuff that goes on town boards, okay?
Right,
People
right.
are like, oh, I voted for the president, but I don't know who my supervisor is. There is a lot of stuff going on
Oh,
in towns, okay?
absolutely.
I live in a very small town, and there's stuff always going on there. And I'm like, come on, I got to get somebody on my town board, and I'm running a candidate this year. Yay!
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're pretty red out there,
right.
but I have a really good blue candidate.
Oh,
so I'm hopeful. But I mean, at the very minimum, you need to get to the ballot box and vote on every election that is happening in your town, area, city, whatever.
Right.
That is like the bare minimum that somebody should be doing.
Right.
And you should find out who your congressman is, who your town board people are, and contact them. Is there something that you disagree with, that you need, that they should be taking care of,
Right.
okay? We did not have the sides of our street. We live in the country. The county didn't take down the high grass. You couldn't see the stop signs.
Oh, no.
Every day I'm like, hi, this is Ann. Could somebody come out here? We're going to have a fatality here.
Right.
They did it last week. Took me a while. But like, do those are, to me, very low level. You're on the phone. You're not
Right.
confrontational
No,
with
right.
somebody
No,
personally.
right.
Do your thing that you can do.
Right, right. Thank you. Yeah, there are so many things like that. So, and as you said, it doesn't have to be confrontational, but you know, there's a way of doing it. You know, back to, well, I keep going to truth and love. You're just telling them this is the thing. You're not doing it you're not hating on them. You're not blaming them. They're just answering the phone.
Right.
But you're just making sure that they understand this is important. This is why it's important, and doing your part. And the thing about voting, which is so important, I just wanted to say, you know, necessary but not sufficient. So we need to vote. We need to know who we're voting for. At least, you know, don't just pick a name based on your own biases or something. But we need to find out who they are, a little bit about their positions. But the other thing is trying to get more involved before it also gets to that point. You know, and as people are saying, you know, run yourself. You know, a lot of people, which I'm going to say that, talk about courage. That's the thing that
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage, too. But anyway, so thank you for that. And what are some of the things you think of, Sam?
Yeah, so we're getting down to the last couple minutes, so
Right.
I'm just going to give you my closing thought.
Right.
Labor's really not just about contracts and negotiations.
No.
It really is about that people power. It's about working people standing up together to shape that fairer workplace, to have a stronger community, to just have more democracy.
Right.
And one great resource for finding out about who is running for a specific office, League of Women Voters.
I was going to say
League
that.
of Women
Yep,
Voters.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Buffalo Niagara has a great website. You can get information about all different candidates and what their qualifications are. So I recommend that you go and register online, and you can do that through Erie County. And you're giving me the look,
I
but
am.
I'm just going to wrap this thought up. You know, with the amount of inequality and instability that we feel in this time, we really do just have to come together. When you have the opportunity, buy union. If you're interested, and that was a great idea, if you're interested in organizing your workplace, reach out.
Yes, absolutely. So clear, so true. Thank you for mentioning League of Women Voters. I know you're involved there. And we love the League of Women Voters, our neighbors, our friends. Just a wonderful group. So many wonderful groups. The collective. We are social animals. We need each other. We love each other. I want to say you two are just terrific. I'm so grateful to be here with you. Grateful that you shared your time with us tonight, and we're all in this together. So we'll see you on Labor Day.
Yes.
And meanwhile, I want to say this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love. Thank you very much. Wonderful. What a great, powerful show. Really good. The fade
Thanks.
to black doesn't work anymore, I don't think.
Thanks for
Anyway,
having
so,
us.
Yeah.
Some